please call the roll?
Ryan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Maps.
Here.
Rubio.
Here.
Wheeler.
Here. Today is May 9th, 2023. Colleagues, just a reminder, this is a work session. There won't be any decisions made today. This is the first convening of the Budget Committee. I'm delivering both my proposed budget and my proposed budget message as required by Oregon state statute. These documents have been delivered to you as part of this meeting's materials, and the full document is, of course, available online at the City Budget Office website, www.portlandoregon.gov/CBO. First of all, welcome, colleagues. It's good to see everyone here. During this work session, City Budget Office will lead us through my proposed budget for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Before we begin, I want to thank all of my fellow commissioners as well as your staffs for your hard work over the last several months to help develop this budget. I appreciated your personal collaboration as we strategized about how best to make use of the available resources we have. The budget I proposed builds upon the solid foundation we've established in previous budget cycles, and it reflects our shared priorities. I also want to express my deep appreciation for the City Budget Office, especially Director Tim Grew and Christy Owen, for your work to usher us through this budget process. With that, I'll take a few minutes to step through my mayor's message. Last year, I put forward a budget that invested in healing and building for the future of Portland. This year, my proposed budget builds on that foundation, implementing the bold change that Portlanders have called for within their city government as well as in the community at large. As we kick off the 2023-2024 fiscal year budget work session, it's helpful to review the greater economic context in which we're making these decisions. Last December, the forecast stated that the city would have $6.5 million in unallocated ongoing general fund discretionary resources, and that we would have no one-time discretionary resources above projected expenditures in fiscal year 2022-23. Given general inflation to existing costs, the sunsetting of federal one-time resources to fund ongoing needs, and the elevated level of deferred maintenance, the demand for resources continues to surpass availability within the city. The April forecast identified $9.6 million of unallocated ongoing discretionary resources, as well as $17.2 million in one-time discretionary resources above projected expenditure in fiscal year 2022-23. This increase in resource came from two sources specifically. First, a release of incremental assessed value relating to two urban renewal districts, and second, an increase in forecasted current year collections of $13.2 million, primarily due to business license tax receipts. Excluding the increased revenue from the release urban renewal districts, the forecast showed an increase of $8.2 million in one-time funding. We were fortunate to receive new revenue from business license taxes and urban renewal areas to help balance this budget and fund important projects that address Portland's priority concerns, namely homelessness, public safety, economic recovery, and livability. With regard to homelessness, unsheltered Portlanders continue to live in unsafe and unhygienic conditions, with many suffering from untreated substance use disorders and mental health issues. This budget funds nearly 400 congregate shelter beds, expands the Street Services Coordination Center, and continues to provide resources to get folks off the streets into temporary safe alternative shelter sites and connected to resources. With regard to public safety, our rates of gun violence incidents are on a downward trend. And while we're encouraged by that near-term progress, we're continuing to invest in programs that help keep our community safe and ensure that offenders are held accountable for their actions. As part of my stated goal to hire 300 new police officers within a 3-year period, I've released funding for 43 new sworn officer positions. Colleagues, we're now 10 months into this work, and we've hired over 120 positions. This budget also funds stolen vehicle recovery work and provides support to the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office to increase capacity for both retail and vehicle theft investigations and prosecution. Portland Street Response is funded within this budget to maintain its current service level. Finally, I'm reinstating Portland Fire and Rescue's Rapid Response Vehicle Program, which primarily serves East Portland on a one-year basis. With regard to economic recovery and livability, economic recovery is, in large part, dependent upon improved livability across the city of Portland. I created the Impact Reduction Program as well as the Public Environmental Management Office to ramp up both trash collection and graffiti abatement efforts across the city of Portland. Community members expressed incredible support for the hard work of these programs and the additional resources we invested last year. My proposal maintains that elevated level of investment within our impact reduction program and continues our partnership with Solve to lead neighborhood cleanups citywide, in addition to dedicating new funding to increased capacity for derelict RV enforcement and towing. This proposal provides support to small businesses and local events through grants and continues to provide enhanced lighting citywide to encourage Portlanders to get into their community and take advantage of all that our small businesses and events have to offer. Finally, I'm proposing to rebuild and reinstall the Thompson elk to its natural habitat, the heart of downtown Portland, as a symbol of Portland's healing and recovery. As we invest in the recovery of our city, we also must invest significantly in the mandated charter reform passed by Portlanders in November of 2022, which changes how we elect officials, how officials govern, and how city bureaus are managed. In support of this change, Council has worked to break down antiquated silos and better align our bureaus to support more effective service delivery within the community, and are continuing programmatic assessments to prepare for the arrival of a city administrator. All of this work requires significant staff time and investment. Bold change requires bold investment. Our last several budget cycles have created a solid foundation to facilitate this incredible amount of change. And the proposal we've built for the 2023-2024 fiscal year will build on that foundation. Our objectives through the next fiscal year are clear. We must remain responsive in addressing our community's most pressing challenges, upholding our responsibilities in implementing charter change, and continuing to provide and improve upon our service delivery to Portlanders. As a reminder, my full budget message is available on the complete Mayor's fiscal year 2023-24 proposed budget, which is available on the City Budget Office's website. Knock yourselves out. With that, I'd like to welcome Tim Grew, the director of our city's budget office, to walk us through my proposed budget. Welcome, Director Grew. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, council members. Today, I and my staff and some of the bureau managers that are here will provide a brief overview of the mayor's budget. Specifically, we're going to cover where we stand in terms of the financial forecast. We will give you a summary of the mayor's proposed budget allocations. And we will also, at the end of the presentation, discuss some budget notes for your consideration. And we will, as a final step, inform you and the audience on next steps in the approved budget process. Next. I'll turn this over to our city economist, Peter.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Peter Holzman. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the city economist. This slide summarizes the changes to the general fund forecast that the mayor referenced earlier. Initially, the December forecast called for 6.5 million in available ongoing and no one-time. Then, just over 12 million was added to the forecast related to excess balance from closing tax increment financing districts. This was split as 3.1 million in ongoing and 9 million in one-time. Finally, 8.2 million in one-time was added in the April forecast, primarily related to business license taxes. This brings the total forecasted revenue to 9.6 million in available ongoing and 17.2 million in available one-time. Next slide. On this slide, I discussed the 5 major revenue sources for the general fund. Property taxes are a very stable resource with measures 5 and 50, limiting the amount of taxes able to be collected, as well as providing a considerable buffer to declines in real market values. However, there are risks to this revenue stream, as falling real market values in the downtown core could increase compression and delinquencies. To account for this risk, the forecast assumes elevated levels of both compression and delinquencies. Collections so far have tracked with expectations, and the outlook is stable. Business license taxes are tracking to come in higher than the December forecast, but the expectation remains for a decline in this revenue source relative to last fiscal year. While the forecast for next fiscal year was reduced by 5 million in April, any additional fallout from the failures of regional banks could impact business profits beyond what is currently expected. The ongoing discussions regarding the federal debt ceiling and the path of the Federal Reserve interest rate policy add to the elevated levels of uncertainty. The longer-term secular declines in utility license and franchise fees were captured in previous forecasts. Current year revenues have slightly exceeded expectations, and the expectation is for continued slow but stable growth. State shared revenue is comprised largely of state liquor taxes, but also includes state marijuana and cigarette taxes. This revenue has grown as expected, and the outlook is stable. And finally, transient lodging taxes were the most adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Revenues from fiscal year 21-22 exceeded expectations, and fiscal year 22-23 has shown the anticipated steady growth. The outlook is for a continued moderate recovery. Next slide. Over the next few slides, I want to revisit Portlanders' tax burden and the contribution of the city's general fund. This graph shows real general fund revenue per capita. Or, to state that another way, this graph shows the amount of general fund revenue received per Portlander controlling for inflation. Note that fiscal year 22-23 is a forecast given this fiscal year isn't final yet. Also note that there is an anticipated decline in the real per capita general fund revenue, and that is because inflation has outpaced our revenue collections. The trend is at the beginning of the millennium we were receiving in 2021 dollars around $800 per Portlander. This declined in the aftermath of the Great Recession and then grew to roughly $900 per Portlander. In sum, the city is receiving about $100 more per Portlander than we were 20 years ago, controlling for inflation. However, if you exclude business license tax revenues altogether, and you can see the shaded part up top is the business license taxes, there has been a slight decline in real general fund revenue per capita in the past 20 years, meaning that the other 4 revenue sources have not kept up with inflation and population growth. The reality is that business license taxes include net profits from Portland-owned businesses, so the true line is somewhere between the two. However, given that most of the growth in business license tax receipts has been due to surging corporate profits, it is likely that the true line has remained relatively flat. So the general fund per capita, the real general fund per capita that we're contributing to Portlanders' tax burden has remained relatively flat for the past 20 years. And we can go to the next slide. And so even though the city's general fund is likely not responsible for a significant increase in Portlanders' tax burden, that doesn't mean local taxes have not increased in the past few years. For example, in 2020, there were 4 new taxes passed: the Metro Supportive Housing Services Tax, the Multnomah County Preschool for All Tax, the Portland Parks Levy, and the Multnomah County General Obligation Bond. And just a brief summary of these 4 taxes: the Metro Supportive Housing Services Tax is a 1% marginal personal income tax on taxable income above $125,000 for individuals and $200,000 for those filing jointly. It is also a 1% business income tax on net income for businesses with gross receipts above $5 million. The revenue division collected roughly $240 million in this tax in the first year. But I should note that this tax covers most of Washington, Clackamas, and Multnomah counties, and it is unclear how much of that $240 million was paid by Portlanders. The Multnomah County Preschool for All tax is a 1.5% tax on taxable income over $125,000 for individuals and $200,000 for joint filers, and an additional 1.5% tax on taxable income over $250,000 for individuals and $400,000 for joint filers. In its first year, this tax collected roughly $187 million. And then briefly, the final two, the Portland Parks levy is a local option property tax of 80 cents per 1,000 assessed value. It raised roughly $45 million in its first year. And the Multnomah County General Obligation Bond is a tax of just under 60 cents per 1,000 assessed value to raise $52.9 million in its first year. Despite the lower tax rate, general obligation bonds are not compressed and therefore had more of an impact on some taxpayers than the local option levy.
Yeah, you can tell I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Just for the public and for me to clarify, the last one, the Multnomah County General Obligation Bond, the other ones, it's really clear where they're going towards. What does that specifically do?
I believe that's the library, but
Library, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Okay. We should get a confirmation on that.
yes.
Yeah. And that impacts compression, right?
The bond does not.
And not because it's a bond? Okay.
Exactly.
The district is what? Okay.
And this is just a sample of how Portlanders' tax burden has increased over the past few years. Next slide.
Why we're there, isn't it true, Mayor? We've all been in these meetings where in New York City, they are the other local jurisdiction that's taxed quite a bit. But their threshold isn't 125 or 200,000 per household. It's much higher. I think it's 25 million.
You're previewing the very next slide.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're stealing the punchline.
Who knew we were going to get, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, and so.
Sorry, Mayor.
Like the guy who tells the punchline every joke, just as you're telling the joke. No, good. It means you're tracking perfectly. Well
Yeah,
done.
it's my job, yeah.
Exactly. Appreciate it.
This slide is from an Ernst & Young report compiled for Oregon Business and Industry and shows one impact of the supportive housing services and preschool for all taxes. The graph shows the 10 cities with the highest marginal income tax rates broken down by the state versus local tax rate. Note that Portland is the only jurisdiction without a sales tax on its list, and the majority of the income tax is a state tax. Also note that the upper threshold for Portland is $250,000, and the marginal tax rate for New York kicks in, the highest one kicks in at $25 million, to Commissioner Ryan's point. Between state and local taxes, every dollar earned above $250,000 gets taxed at a rate of 14.7%. Prior to the supportive housing services tax and the preschool for all tax mentioned in the previous slide, the top marginal rate was 10.7%. That would have pushed us below DC on the chart. Again, we don't have a sales tax, so it's not exactly an apples-to-apples comparison, but it does show how much of an impact the recent taxes have had on our marginal tax rates. On Friday, Jennifer Young from Moss Adams will present further on recent research around relative taxes in the metro region.
And if I may just jump in here and note that on Thursday afternoon, I'm meeting with jurisdictional leaders from the region to talk about the collective tax burden. I think this is an issue that's been raised, certainly in the media. It's been raised by the report that you're highlighting here. But we're hearing it from our constituents as well, that the increased tax burden is really hitting the households. And so we need to talk about how to sequence these, what our priorities are, and what can be put off.
This is a really good slide.
And before I hand it back to Director Grew, are there any questions on these slides?
Yeah, Peter, I was really taken with your real general fund revenue per capita, and you made it clear that the business license tax is the only one that really has been like increasing, and the other four have remained stable. So is that why you didn't shade out the other ones specifically?
And partially, it's very easy to draw a direct line into how Portlanders are paying the other four taxes. And it's for a good portion, but not less than half, it's easy to draw on the business license taxes. But again, about 60% of that tax revenue is from large national corporations, and it's on their profits, so it's less clear that they're passing it on to Portlanders, and so it's less clear that it's increasing Portlanders' tax burden. And so, that is, for both reasons, I pulled that out. One, to show that it is the one source that's grown above inflation, and two, to highlight the fact that it's not necessarily adding to Portlanders' tax burden in the same way that property taxes are.
I just would make an observation, though, on this slide, that it's something that has been difficult for Portlanders to acknowledge over the last 20 years, but we need large employers in the city core to pay for government. And this slide tells that story in a pretty significant way, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
That's really good.
Actually, I have a question. Is Peter done? I'll let you, you're done with your part of the show? Before we move on, can I ask just a quick clarifying question? And this goes back to your general fund forecast update slide. There in particular, I'm interested in the excess TIF balance piece. We're not quite, that's not, I don't know if we're trying to get back.
The first slide, sorry.
Yeah, general, there we go, that one. So what determines, how do you figure out the split, or what determines the split between one-time TIF dollars and ongoing TIF dollars? I kind of would imagine intuitively it would all be ongoing.
So it's not, so the excess balance is a one-time payment that it's a one-time funds, because we were basically getting it a year earlier than we anticipated. The split is determined not based off of the revenue source, it's based off of future expenses and how much we can actually fund over the total 5 years. So we basically group all revenues together and all expenses, and then how much of that is ongoing is based solely on if we can afford it for the full 5 years. So any program that we fund this year with ongoing dollars, we need to be sure that there's ongoing funding in the future years. There was only enough revenue in the out years of the forecast to fund 3 million of this as ongoing programs. In other words, we don't want to basically hire people
Right.
and not have enough funds remaining. So it's not related specifically to the TIF. It's related more generally to that's how our total revenue and expenses broke out.
Okay. Thank you. I'll be transparent and maybe followed 40% of that, but I'll dig in at a different time. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. I'm not sure I get that either. Early on in the budget process, the mayor issued budget guidances on priorities for the proposed budget. The three priority areas that the mayor focused on was public safety, charter of transition, and livability. In the guidances, the mayor also indicated that decision packages for new ongoing and one-time general fund resources would not be accepted in order to ensure that the funds available would be allocated to these priority areas. At the time, the initial forecast, as we showed you earlier, was indicating that we had 6.5 million in recurring revenues available and no one-time funding at that time. Next slide. I wanted to clarify that in the forecast, you're seeing one-time resources and recurring resources, but we also have other discretionary funds that we utilize as we develop the proposed budget. And this chart shows some of those extra areas. Sources include unspent policy reserves that we put in the budget each year, projected vacancy savings of the bureaus, and one-time draws on future ongoing set-asides. Examples included unspent compensation set-aside, forecast vacancy savings including the 43 officers in the Police Bureau and a $3.1 million in legal settlements for the class action opioid source. So in addition to what you saw in the general fund, these were areas where we had funds available in order to balance the mayor's proposed budget. Next slide. To address the mayor's priority number one, public safety, the budget allocates $5.3 million in additional ongoing general fund resources and $1.46 million in one-time resources to public safety. The $5.3 million in ongoing fund resources supports, as the mayor mentioned earlier, position authority for the 43 police officers, increasing the total number of sworn officers to 882 from 839. Based upon the Police Bureau's hiring and attrition forecast, the Bureau will fill the 43 officers in the next 2 years or 3. Because of projected vacancy savings in the Police Bureau, the $5.3 million was pulled back as one-time funds to be allocated for other purposes in the 23-24 budget. Also included in the priorities is $1 million in general fund resources for the East Precinct Stolen Vehicle Project and $350,000 in one-time resources to support 2 task forces to address retail and vehicle theft in the county. $2.6 million in one-time general fund resources was included in the budget to support rapid response vehicles, and the reallocation of $2.6 million in opiate settlement resources for Portland Street response. The $106,000 in the chart is general fund resources for permits and street closures in the Old Town Entertainment District, which are on Friday and Saturday nights. Next slide. In the second priority area, charter reform, in the current year, the proposed budget ensures the city is ready for the first-ranked choice voting election, the start of a 12-person city council, and a city administrator. The $4.39 million in the current year covers the staffing and contractual costs for supporting community engagement, organizational change, district mapping, voter education, and salary commission for the 12-person city council. This funding is not anticipated to be fully spent by the end of this fiscal year, and will be carried over to the next fiscal year to cover staffing and contractual costs. This funding for 2023-24, the $2.49 million is continuing support for personnel and other expenditures to support the charter reform implementation. It also supports a 7-year loan totaling $7.3 million in total for the from the Facility Reserve Fund to support remodeling costs for the council and chief administrator offices. This will be paid back at an annual rate of $1.9 million. For the 24-25 charter budget and beyond, we are not at a point of knowing specifically what the total charter budget is going to cost. What we do know is that for 22-23 allocation, the 23-24 allocation, and the facility's annual amount will be necessary for the next 2 fiscal years. Next slide. The next slide represents additional resources that were allocated in the mayor's proposed budget to the economic recovery and livability. Included is $14.5 million in one-time general fund resources for trash cleanup and graffiti abatement, which covers $400,000 for Solve, $7.6 million general fund one-time, and $1.3 million in additional interagency revenue for the impact reduction program for parks, BES, and water, $3.7 million general fund one-time for the Public Environment Management Office, and $2 million general fund one-time for derelict RVs, $770,000 for towing and staffing support for the firefighter inspector through the Street Services Coordination Center. The $8.9 million is for continuing investment in the Joint Office for Homeless Services. $900,000 for one-time general fund resources went to Prosper Portland for the small business and events, which includes $500,000 for small business stabilization grants and $400,000 for the events office. And the $87,156 in ongoing to convert limited positions to permanent positions for the Enhanced Service District Coordinator. Next slide. There's also a number of realignment packages in the mayor's proposed budget, which are shown in this chart. All of these are net neutral, that is, they are not requiring additional resources. The largest change is to move recreational cannabis tax funds from Civic Life to Prosper Portland, including funding that supports Reimagine Oregon and the Social Equity and Economic Development SEED program. This realignment was directed by council in the ordinance that council adopted laying out the 90-day plans by service area. The next realignment from Civic Life is for code compliance programs that have been in the Bureau, which are liquor and cannabis licensing and the noise compliance program. Those programs are all being moved to the Bureau of Development Services, also as directed by the 90-day plan. Next, there are several realignments involving Community Safety Division. The budget for the Office of Violence Prevention is moving to a special appropriation to improve efficiency and grant monitoring and compliance. Additionally, the payroll administration positions that are currently in the Fire Bureau will be moved to the Community Safety Division, along with funding for the Community Safety Director position. There's also a Manager 2 position that will shift from the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability that previously supported the Office of Community Safety, which will become a Deputy Director position in CSD. Other notable general fund allocations include the $1.5 million one-time funding for the restoration and installation of the Thomas Elk statue, as mentioned by the mayor in his introductory comments. $200,000 to increase staff capacity for Prosper Portland to improve tax increment district analysis for future tax increment districts. In special appropriations, there is $200,000 added to the downtown marketing initiative operated by the Portland Business Alignment, $50,000 for the Portland Art Museum, and $25,000 respectively for the Portland Parks Foundation and the Northwest Children's Theater. In the area of city support services, funding was also provided to convert critical central support services from one-time funding to recurring general fund funding. Included was $1.97 million to convert 12 positions in the Bureau of Human Resources to continue enhanced support for recruitment, labor relations, and classification and compensation management. Also, $200,000 was program for the Portland Police Bureau Human Resource position. Also included was a $6.5 million allocation to complete the Justice Center and electrical improvements. Support for 4 full-time positions and facilities for safety and space planning requirements were also included. And the $2.5 million infrastructure for the initial phase of the electronic vehicle infrastructure for power stations.
Tim, could I just mention,
Yes, sir.
the funding for human resources, that is a recommendation that came from our bureau directors collectively. We had a meeting, it was probably 9 months ago, when we were starting the budget process.
Right.
And we asked the bureau directors what their priorities were, and collectively they all agreed that we needed to plug some of the gaps that they saw in HR. It was impacting all of the bureau operations. So I just want to reflect that we heard what the Bureau Director said, and that's reflected in the proposed.
And these were also consistent with the priorities we created as we went through the budget process for prioritizing one-time funded staff to recurring.
Yes, sir. And also the large capital improvement to the Justice Center, that's a requirement of the agreement we have with the county.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you.
Additional support services improvements supported in the proposed budget also includes $2.4 million to improve hybrid technology systems, information security, and community engagement systems, and just over $289,000 to support increased workloads for city insurance and claims and working compensation programs. Again, Mr. Mayor, these were activities that we felt were a priority for the city and that were largely approved or accepted by the city bureaus. All of these investments in this and previous slides are funded by resources within bureau budgets through interagency agreements. Next slide.
May I jump in here?
Yes.
Before we get to the utility bureaus and transportation, I do have at least one question from this section of material that we've been talking about. Here, I want to go back to priority number 3. Probably, is that public safety? No, livability. Can we go back to that slide?
It was 3. Two
Three.
Two back. Yeah, 2 back. There you go.
So here I'm interested in this 8.9 million to the joint office. I guess that's a one-time thing. What are we purchasing with that?
We're going to have our staff person that has
Okay.
expertise in that area respond to that.
Hi there, I'm Owen Sates with the Budget Office.
Hi.
So your question is what are we purchasing with the 8.9 million?
Yeah, how much do we give? I assume we're giving the joint office a lot more than 8.9. So I'd be kind of interested in hearing what the top line number is, and then what within that, what is this 8.9 in particular?
So the total budget for the joint office in this proposed budget is about $43.4 million.
43? Okay.
And so 34.5 million of that is ongoing, and then this 8.9 million is the one-time. So typically in past years, the city has given the joint office serial one-time allocations. They've increased over the years, going from about 6.5 million to now this number. Most of this is to continue services for adult-only shelters. And then 1.05 million of this is to continue increased provider wages that we funded in the fall bump of this year.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'd now like to turn to, thank you, to the, very briefly, the situation in terms of water and environmental services rates. I'm not going to go into this in any great detail because on Friday, you'll be having a work session on this area, and all of the bureaus associated with these utilities and fees and licenses will be gathered to brief you on those and to answer your questions. But just to note that the combined rate, if we proceed with water and sewer rate increases, the combined rate would be 6.59%, or approximately $26.70 per quarter for a typical single-family unit. All right? And I'm going to, again, stop there because otherwise I'll be a little bit redundant on our Friday meeting. Next slide. Portland Bureau of Transportation continues to experience revenue downturns resulting in a requirement to decrease expenditures. Included are $2.4 million for major programmatic reductions, including $1.5 million for small capital projects $500,000 residential for street sweeping, which represents 5% of the total street sweeping program, and $250,000 for meter replacements. $1.2 million in reductions is in the area of asset maintenance and parking services. That includes $714,000 staff support and fleet costs, $200,000 for parking enforcement officers, which I should emphasize have been vacant since October 2021, and $270,000 for parking planning and consulting. $645,000 in administrative and policy support consists of $140,000 reduction in planning services, $247,000 administrative and policy support positions, and $130,000 in traffic systems and staff, staff and contracting. And finally, $167,000 for technology positions. $2 million in efficiencies were also created to cover the shortfall, which include $100,000 elimination of landline telephones, $600,000 reallocation of mobile technology fees, $300,000 towing and bank card fee reductions, $300,000 to replace streetcar vehicle capital reserves, which the state transit funding via TriMet agreement, and $600,000 dispatch services transferred to the 311 system. PBOT will also continue to withdraw resources from its discretionary reserve balance, which could be exhausted by fiscal year 2025-26. On the positive side, $1.8 million is allocated in general fund discretionary for the Americans with Disability Act compliant curbside ramps, $106,000 in one-time general fund resources was available to support permitting activities for weekend street closures in Old Town, and $625,000 was allocated from the American Rescue Plan for funding for the Healthy Business Project to support second year of support for the business permit program. I want to bring to the council's attention that good progress was made this year in trying to eliminate the use of one-time funds. Excuse me, 19, I missed one, sorry, excuse me. In the area of community development service area, the proposed budget allocates $2.4 million in labor agreement compensation adjustments to the Bureau of Parks and Recreation. This was already included in the general fund forecast as an expense. Parks and Recreation also has $10.2 million for further programming from their operating levy, which includes 23.75 positions to support programs for the levy. In addition to previous highlights for program realignment, the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability will add 19 full-time equivalent positions supported by the Portland Clean Energy Fund to expand program and performance management operations and communications. Recent code changes do allow for these programmatic expansion efforts, which are geared towards getting the PCEF resources into the community to support city climate action goals. Now, back to this slide, excuse me. While the mayor's proposed budget provides ongoing funding towards some of the needs currently funded with one-time needs, there are still programs and services that will continue to be funded with one-time resources to support what may require continuing future year resources. These programs address critical community service requirements, which include carryover of the 22-23 budget for $17.8 million to continue staffing of temporary alternative shelter sites, $2.6 million for initiation of the police body worn camera program, which has been recently implemented, $1.3 million for graffiti abatement, an additional, $1.2 million in asset management and parking services. Oh, I went back, sorry. Not managing my slides very well, excuse me. Additionally, for 2023, new one-time general fund allocations are included to support $8.9 million for the Office of Homeless Services, $7.6 million for the Impact Reduction Program. Also, the budget includes funding from American Rescue Program support, including $22.3 million for Safe Rest Villages, $2.9 million for Portland Street Response Program and gun violence programs. Next slide.
Actually, can I pause here? I want to be sure I understand what you're trying to communicate to us here. Is this the slide where you're kind of pointing out to council, these are essentially ongoing expenses that we're paying with one-time dollars?
Could very well be ongoing expenses, and that will be a challenge going into the next fiscal year cycle.
So what column of numbers should I add up to get a ballpark sense of our ongoing expenses that we're kind of paying with one-time dollars? Is that 32 million-ish, or is that should I be looking at a different math?
Hi, Shannon Fairchild, City Budget Office. It's, the intention is all three, to add up all three, and that's just examples of some of them, but the number is actually far higher. We can get you we're still trying to do some analysis there, but that's an example of what we've done so far.
All three, I'm not sure in this context.
All three columns, you need to add up as like the ongoing implication. So the carryover,
Yeah.
the one-time allocation in 23-24, as well as the American Rescue Plan Act. All those are examples of one-time funded programs and services that likely have some level of ongoing implications.
Okay, thank you.
And just to be clear, council will review those programs and determine if they should continue in the future.
Can you also clarify on that slide, which of those we're projecting are a dollar for dollar issue carry forward? So for example, just looking at body cams, 2.65 million, do we really anticipate that that's 2.65 every year going forward? I mean, because we have substantial upfront costs.
Yeah. What?
I was going to say we could call the police bureau up to speak to ongoing estimates for body-worn camera program. This is what is in one-time for implementation. It is very likely that there will be significant ongoing costs between records personnel, and then cost of maintaining the infrastructure of the cameras themselves.
But do we have a line of sight on that yet?
I would need to ask the bureau what they're projecting for that, if the bureau is ready to speak to this.
And my question is more as an example, as we're trying to quantify what we're looking at on this board, to what extent, there may be substantial variability, and to what extent that is dollar for dollar and ongoing. And so I'm just trying to get a handle around what you're showing us there.
Commissioner, that is one of the challenges we have with scoping the cliff, is until we see what a proposal comes from a bureau to have a more final estimate, that's when we get more of that refined figure. I think of this as a lot of a range of magnitude of what we are looking at for a dollar for dollar basis, whether it's rescue plan, carryover, or new general fund investment. And then I'll let Elizabeth speak to body-worn cameras.
Hi there, Elizabeth Gallagher with the Police Bureau, she, her pronouns. With regard to the dollars that are referenced on here, those are intended to be the one-time implementation costs of the body-worn camera program. And as far as the known ongoing costs that we are aware of at this point in time, those are already built into the Bureau's ongoing budget.
There you go.
So I'm going to translate what I just heard there just to make sure. So we have a bullet point up here that you're communicating we have a cliff coming, but in fact, is that really based on what you just described, is that really a cliff?
At this point, with the implementation components and what the program will actually end up scoping out to be, it's unknown like how much of that could be required to be additional ongoing built into the budget that's not yet currently accounted for. So again, as Christine mentioned as well, it's kind of a question mark right now, but it is unlikely to be the entirety of the 2.6.
So again, this was an example of one-time funding being used for a project that we know will probably have expenses going forward in the next fiscal years.
I got it, and I understand the point of the slide. When we're quantifying financial risk, it's helpful to know when some of this is true one for one, as best we can estimate at this point in time, versus what might be cents on the dollar in terms of ongoing. Again, don't know the particulars of body cam other than what you just described here, but it's just in term for us. And then, obviously, the big buckets up there, these are substantial dollars associated with the homeless problem, and the mayor's certainly made the point of the financial impact on our budget of the homeless challenges. So that's mostly an observation. Those are gigantic numbers. They kind of dwarf what else is on your slide there. And bringing into focus the $43.5 million that we're sending the Joint Office on Homelessness, when I look at those numbers, is a real concern. Those are magnitude of, it's just significant. I'll leave it at that.
And that's why we wanted to bring it to your
Yeah.
attention.
I was going to say, thanks for bringing it to our attention a year in advance. Yeah, and we'll just keep working on getting the proof points, getting
Are
results.
there other questions at this point?
Actually, can I circle back? I'm sitting here thinking about the answer I got on the joint office allocation. Why do we break out the 8.9 for single-person shelter? What determines sort of one-time allocations to the joint office versus ongoing? Is this the only kind of service that we have specifically programmed? Or?
So again, Owen from the City Budget Office. You can kind of conceptualize it as a supplement. And so I don't know the entire history, some of my colleagues might, but typically we have just funded additional on top of the base ongoing resources with these one-time allocations year over year, I believe due to the state of the financial in each year. But I think some of my colleagues might know more about that in the history.
Does anyone else have something to add?
I was just looking for a bureau representative on how the budget is allocated. I believe it's jointly with the county, but.
I know the answer to this question, so let's stop beating around the bush. First of all, the county allocates the resources. We don't. So that one-time only bump started 7 years ago when Mayor Hales and Chair Kafori created the Joint Office of Homeless Services. There was some one-time only availability in the city budget, and Mayor Hales was concerned about the homeless situation, so he allocated a significant portion, I think it was 6-ish million in one-time only, to the Joint Office of Homeless Services. For a variety of reasons, that then became the city's baseline contribution to the Joint Office of Homeless Services. The best description I can give you there is it's politics. But we have basically honored our commitment plus some level of CPI every year since then. But why is it allocated specifically towards shelter? Well, it's politics. The reason is because the overt threat is if we withdraw funding from the Joint Office of Homeless Services or we don't make the one-time allocation, the county will then cut what is obviously the most important service from our perspective in the Joint Office of Homeless Services, which is temporary shelter. That's the answer. It's politics, plain and simple. Let's just be honest about it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate there's a long and complicated history here dealing with some of the most challenging problems that our city faces. I know that between now and I think July 1st, we have to figure out what, we have to sign a new contract with the joint office. I hope that we can use that as an opportunity to maybe rationalize some of the relationships and spending patterns that have accreted over the years.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. And while I'm perhaps a little bit grumpy about some of the things that have happened in the past, again, hope springs eternal with regard to our relationship with the new county chair. I feel that the relationship is very solid. I believe we're working together in good faith. I believe that she understands very clearly the pressures that the city government is under and wants to have a strong and responsive partnership. So what you're seeing reflected here is really historical residue and historical politics that I hope we're seeing the last of.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I know we want to get into the performance strategies and evaluation stuff, but I think I have a couple of programmatic questions I feel like I should ask. Let me ask our budget director, probably about 100 and some odd days ago, I got PBOT. And as I get to know the Bureau better, I feel like every 5 days or so, I discover new complications and challenges with the Bureau's budget. Can you kind of summarize and give us a sense of where PBOT is financially and the implications that has for, let's say, the budget moving forward? And if you have any advice for me to actually manage a Bureau that I find to be in a series of economic paradoxes. Any thoughts on that space?
Yes. We would hope that going into the future, people would be using their cars more. We'd be getting back to levels of gas tax that we've had previously. People would be using our parking structures and our parking places like they used to do previously. I'm not confident that that's going to be the trend that we see. So I think the organization, PBOT, is going to continue to have to economize, be efficient, and continue to reduce services unless we can find a funding source that helps them going into the future. Now, that could be a number of things. As you well know, the gas tax does not have an inflationary aspect to it. So we get a flat amount, and year after year after year, especially in an inflationary economy, with gas taxes going up and down, you can't keep up with your service levels. And then parking has to do with use. And so those things we don't have total control on.
Thank you. And here, do we have any recent projections on parking? I'll tell you, I think back in November when we submitted our estimates about where our parking revenues would be and where our forecast financial gaps would be, I think for 2024-25, we were expecting maybe a $9 million deficit. I'm told with our most recent update to our parking forecast, in this next fiscal year or in 2024-25, I'm looking at a $28 million gap, which strikes me as being substantial.
And it is. I think what would be useful is if there's a representative of the Bureau here.
Do I got any PBOT people in the room that can help me understand, me and this council sort of understand?
I did want to make one other comment in answer to the question
Sure.
you gave me. On the expenditure side, we got to face reality, and I think we're going to need to do a new strategic plan of some part for PBOT going forward.
Yeah.
And you'll see later in the presentation here a budget note that suggests that we do that.
Okay, I agree with you. Who are you?
Good morning, everyone. Jeremy Patton with PBOT. Just to give kind of a general overview of where we're at, and especially kind of around the parking, maybe I'll just focus on the parking issue and what we're seeing right now. The initial forecast that went in kind of back in January was based on kind of parking that we saw back in the fall and early spring, assuming some rather large recovery within the downtown area to bring back parking. We have done some updated forecasting. We've also contacted Eco Northwest and had them do a forecast for us. We got that data back recently, and what that is showing is parking has been flat. Basically, it's about the same as it was last year, and we're not showing a huge increase kind of moving forward. It's a very, very slow incline, if any incline whatsoever. And so that's why you're seeing that very sharp increase in parking losses, is because we had expected back to 80% recovery by next year. And what we're showing right now is that's nowhere close unless we get a lot more parking and a lot more folks coming downtown.
So that translates into next year, like what does that, let's put it this way. Let's use 2019, the the last year, how about 2019, 2020 as sort of a baseline year? This is kind of right before we're heading into the pandemic. How much do I need to shrink the Bureau by, given the economic trends? Are we talking a 10% cut, a 20% cut, a 30% reduction?
We're looking at with the reduction that we already had in place, kind of for the requested, so knowing that, that 9 million plus some additional costs that happen within the proposed around some interagencies, overhead costs, labor contracts, and the loss of parking, we're looking at 20%.
20% reduction. Thank you very much. Anything else that you think this council should know about the PBOT budget for this? How about for this fiscal year?
We're in dire need of new money, I would say that. What you will see, a lot of our projections, what we're showing is we're assuming a lot of these losses that we would have to take care of in 24, 25.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at anything immediate right now for 23, 24. We're really looking at kind of taking that 24, 25 process.
Okay, great.
I did want to point out, which I already mentioned, PBOT had, in past years, had a good reserve so that they could adjust for economic swings. And because of the revenue situation right now, they are drastically taking down that reserve.
Absolutely. Can you remind me, I think when I got here, how much were our reserves 3 years ago?
We had initially built up a reserve of about $60 million because we knew this funding structural deficit was going to happen.
Yeah.
COVID has basically depleted all of those reserves, and with the loss of parking this year, those reserves are going to be down to zero. Just the latest projection showing we're going to lose another 7-8 million this current fiscal year in parking, which will put those.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really struck me since I've taken over PBOT. Basically, for the past couple of years, we've kept the Bureau together by making dramatic and deep draws on reserves. I think our first year of COVID, PBOT might have drawn down about $50 million from reserves, something in that ballpark. But we are running out of reserves. We are running out of lifeboats, and the problem continues to get worse. And, I think Tim's right. We got to do some cuts. But at a time when, cars are turning electric and some hybrid work is the new normal. Frankly, PBOT is a bureau without a viable financial model. And, we will take, we're going to take, I appreciate the fairness that the mayor has done with this year's budget around PBOT. We'll take some cuts this year, just as we have for the past several years. But I will tell you, by the time we are sitting in this spot a year from now, the PBOT crisis will actually become a citywide crisis because we will be talking about cutting vital services, and I'm going to have to come to the general fund. So the cancer, which is currently consuming PBOT, will start to consume every general fund bureau. And Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Well, that's depressing. I don't want that back to me. Back to Tim.
Well, I'd like to shift gears here to talk a little bit about program performance.
Actually, Tim, if I could just reflect on that, because what the commissioner said is important, and it warrants more than a flip comment from me. He and I discussed this at great length. Unfortunately, it's not just PBOT. We have issues across the board. And many of our operational bureaus, our frontline bureaus, our utility bureaus, our transportation bureau, I'm not particularly daunted by the challenge. I actually think there's a lot we can do to address some of these fiscal issues, and we're taking the initial steps here with this budget, taking some good steps in the right direction. But the commissioner's right, and he underscored the point that over the course of the next year, we're going to have to talk about operational changes. We're going to have to talk about potential shifts in the way we do business, different types of collaborations and partnerships, and yes, when it comes to transportation in particular, really restructuring the revenue model. And fortunately, PBOT's not the only transportation agency confronting this issue. It's a national existential crisis for the way we fund transportation and transportation-related projects. So I'll think of it as a fun and interesting challenge as we move forward together. And I really appreciate the attention you've been putting into this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's a great introduction into the next slides that we would like to talk about, and that has to do with performance strategies and trying to become more efficient in the services that we provide in a very challenging forecasting environment. We often talk about marginal changes to our budget during the budget process. And we don't spend enough time talking about the outcomes of the funds that we are used to delivering. And I know council has talked about these in the past in terms of wanting to have goals that they can monitor and see progress being made. So we need to continuously improve the services that we have in the city and deliver them more efficiently and effectively. Second, in dealing with large amounts of one-time funding support, which we just had a discussion of, services, the city should be conducting evaluations for programs to determine if they should be funded or be on a recurring basis. Finally, for all our programs, the city makes decisions about how to staff them and what service models we are using. We should identify meaningful performance measures to inform your decisions. Next slide. Proposed budget, excuse me, went to the last slide. What did I do? The good news is that the council has invested in the capacity to do all of these things. There is a new performance team located in the budget office that you approved funding for that's working on many of the strategies that I just laid out. We'll be briefing each of you on the work in more depth, but I wanted to highlight a few elements here today. The team is working with bureaus to begin to look at the performance measures that we track in the budget system and making sure that they are meaningful and aligned with the goals and strategies bureaus are using. We will work towards an improved suite of performance measures that can be used for communication with the public about the city's services and management decisions. COB is also working with bureaus to identify and address business system problems to support the core functions of the city, from procurement to HR to the budget process itself. We will also be developing standards for program evaluation so that we can more consistently and robustly analyze the results of city work. Finally, our office is leading the deployment of the Portland Insight Survey, which is a representative survey of Portlanders. The survey was run at the end of 2022, and we will be coming to you in July with the complete report and results. In addition, in odd-numbered years, there will be focus groups to more deeply go into the findings from the survey and to address follow-up questions. So we just wanted to let you know that the performance arm of COB has been very busy and that you'll be seeing some of our outcomes from that effort going forward. I'd like to now turn to the budget notes that are in the proposed budget.
Can we pause here for a sec? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I just want to acknowledge how important these last two slides are. I want to give a couple stories, but one is when we started the data, the improvement for permits, it was really clear we didn't have data. And I want to acknowledge people like Andy Peterson and BDS and Director Esau. I know in our weekly check-ins, we stayed focused on it. So what we have now when we do the task force meetings, as two of my colleagues know, is we start the meetings rooted in data. What's more important is the same permitting bureaus, which are quite a few in the city, are now using that. And so what's important is that we not only build these, but we make it a part of the culture of the entire city. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to BDS, Andy Peterson, Rebecca Esau, and I know Commissioner Rubio is now overseeing that. But we don't have to wait. We need to do that with everything. And I want to acknowledge also the good work with, I don't know what office I was on the phone with. I think it might have been in your world. And that was on the Safe Rest Villages, getting data sets for that as well. So we could actually have proof points. And that'll make it a lot easier when we're in these conversations about how we figure out what's a cliff and what's an ongoing. It's ongoing if we're getting results. It's quite simple, but we have to make sure we're measuring it. So I'm really pleased to be part of a council that's taking on that type of common sense. Thanks.
And I'd like to give Ruth an opportunity if she wants to discuss some of the things that are happening. She's the leader of this performance group.
Were you in that meeting last week, Ruth?
our office.
Okay, it was some of your amazing teammates, perhaps.
I'm not sure. Ruth Levine with the City Budget Office. Yeah, thanks, Tim, for pointing this out. I mean, I think the conversation you all had around PBOT and then prior to that around the one-time funding, it really tees up this conversation nicely because it just shows how important it is for the city to be doing some of this work. And we have to, I think, you know, especially in the sort of with the charter transition coming on, and we need to really be thinking systematically about how to set up these structures, whereas in the past, I think there's been great work that's happened around the city on a lot of these things, but it's kind of one-off, and the practices aren't kind of institutionalized in my experience thus far, and so I think we have this opportunity right now to actually institutionalize some of it and to say, you know, we should be doing a holistic base budget review when we're coming up on sort of some fiscal pressures. We should be looking at all of our, you know, newer one-time investments that we may be interested in continuing some model of those, and we should have standards for what type of evaluation is appropriate in those different situations, and not sort of just leave it up to the programmer or you know, the commissioner in charge or whomever is championing that. So I think it really needs to be more institutionalized. So.
Well, yeah, and the ripples have to bubble up. So in our case, we couldn't wait, so we had to get it started, and hopefully those ripples will keep happening. So I think all culture change actually does come from some of the work teams on the ground, and then it keeps bubbling up. So it's an up and down system. But I think for too long, it's just kind of been a theory up here that we're supposed to do this. And it's been really fascinating to watch how slow that is. And so I do think it's really important that we don't let perfection get in the way of good, but we just start doing it. And we begin our meetings looking at whatever data we have so that we can really make those tough decisions and keep learning from one another. So we're all on the same team here, but I just think it's important that it's cultural and it's citywide. Before we go on, when we were looking at the earlier items, there was one on the charter change and the expenses for that. As I recall in the voters pamphlet, I actually looked that up. It said it would be a $900,000 to $8.7 million fiscal impact on the city. So it looks like we're up to the upper end of that range for the first year of implementation.
Commissioner, I believe those numbers referenced were the estimate for ongoing as opposed to one-time implementation. The ongoing estimate, some of the challenge with identifying the true impact is largely determined on commissions setting salaries and then the number of staff. As soon as you multiply that by 12, that's how you can get a larger range of as compared to the current makeup of council offices when there are commissioners.
So when we were voting, we didn't have anything in the voters pamphlet that educated the voters on what the one-time impact was. The way you answered the question is what I just heard. You said it was ongoing, not the...
I believe this was the ongoing.
Okay. So I think we're managing a very shocking big expense rather well. Maybe that's my point.
We'll get back to you with a little bit more information on that, Commissioner. There's no further questions. I did want to give you a brief summary of the budget notes that are in the proposed budget. In the charter change area, the budget notes cover service area reviews over the summer, and those are in process right now. Unspent current, it calls for unspent current charter change budget to be carried over into the next fiscal year. And it also discussed budget planning and transition to council offices in advance of the Cal target development for the next 24-25 fiscal year. In the city budget office, there is a budget note to develop a reserve policy for the recreational cannabis tax fund. As you know, there's been a deficit in that fund this year that we had to address. And we want to make sure that we start over the coming years to develop a reserve there so we can smooth out some of these up and done trends in that fund. And hopefully avoid having to decrease programs that the Cannabis Fund is supporting. We also have a budget note to develop a process and policies for use of city emergency rescue funds with input from the Grants Management and Portland Bureau of Emergency Management Services. This is to talk a little bit more about when we have an emergency, what are the policies for accessing that? What are the policies for refunding that particular fund, given the situations we've had in the winter and in hot weather systems. So we want to just get a little bit clearer on the policies on how that fund is operated. In the Portland Bureau of Transportation, I already mentioned, having them do another update, I would call it, their strategic plan based upon the financial situation that they're in, and probably with some scenarios. Mr. Mayor, with that, this would be a point where the council could discuss amendments to the proposed budget, which also could be scheduled to be heard and approved on May 17th.
Very good, colleagues. Again, this is not your last opportunity to provide amendments. This is merely the first. But if people wanted to have a discussion about potential amendments or anything else, this is the time to do it.
I don't have any amendments at this time.
Very good. All right, then let's go ahead and continue this.
All right.
This meeting of the budget. Did you have anything else, Tim?
I'm just going to conclude on the next steps in the budget process.
Perfect.
And there will be a hearing, as you know, on May 11th. The approved budget should be done by May 17th. We have a utility rate hearing on May 24th. And again, Friday, you'll be getting more information on utility rates and fees and such before that date. And then we have the TSCC hearing, which, Mr. Mayor, you usually are the point person on June 13th. And we adopt the budget on June 14th.
Very good. This meeting of the Budget Committee is continued to this coming Thursday, May 11th at 6:30 p.m., where public testimony will be received on the proposed budget. Public comment and testimony may be submitted through an online intake form or for participants registered in advance of the Budget Committee meeting. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.
Thanks.
Thank you.